Happy Friday, everyone. What is going to happen today in the market? Are we going to see that dump, or is it going to be back to weekend pumps? That's a great question, and we're going to explore today, and I'm going to tell you where the market goes next, so stick around and don't go anywhere. Okay, so let's just start by looking at Bitcoin, because obviously Bitcoin does dictate rest of the market and where it's going to go. Now, we did have this 3 inside up off this level, and I did say that Bitcoin generally moons from that level. So what we've seen since then is a move from 67 all the way up to 70, almost 72, 71.5, and we're kind of rejecting that level, similar to what we're seeing here. This is also a level here, but that's the only level we have, right? 71,500. Now, it's likely that we're kind of flagging here, and we'll probably be breaking out of that level soon enough. Now, whether it be the weekend or not, we'll figure that out today, but we saw some trends I'm going to show you on Bitcoin ETF that may be leading us into either a big Friday or potentially another sideways day. Now, I did say we'd likely go sideways into the halving and then start breaking up, but I do think we may be breaking all-time high before the halving and then into the halving. So there's a lot of positive news happening right now, and I think that that's a very good thing for our industry, so we can see things get moving. Now, we've had this, what we used to have, a China FUD. Now we have the SEC FUD. Everything is gonna blow up. Oh my God, Kucoin, blah, blah. Guys, what happened with Kucoin, just so you understand, is that people sent from Tornado Cash to Kucoin, and because of those transactions going to Kucoin, they were deemed that they were doing money laundering. Now, maybe they were, maybe they didn't know they were, but they've been charged with that. And then now Coinbase has also had the judge say that they're gonna also have to go to court. Basically, this is just FUD. We've seen this happen before. It didn't really lead to anywhere. The SEC lost. I'm sure they'll lose again, or they'll just slap them on a wrist with the charge, because unless they've been constantly doing this, it's likely that they haven't, gone way too far across the line. But we saw what happened with SBF. Unfortunately, he's down for 25 years. I thought it should be more, considering the immense amount of harm he did to this industry alone. He should have got longer, but you know what? I think 25 years in jail for him is probably an eternity for anyone. So we'll see what happens, but it's really sad that he went from this philanthropist that's going to change the world to someone sitting in a jail cell because of greed, and all the stuff that he got caught for is pretty damning. So unfortunate, but that's life. And yeah, people are greedy. Money changes people. Remember that. It's a lot of people I've met that were, come from nothing, got some money, and they thought they were important. We're just normal people, guys. Remember that. So coming back to Bitcoin. Bitcoin is clearly in a sideways market. It's kind of like bull flaggy right here. And it's likely that we see it maybe come down and retest one more time before push higher. But what I'm looking at here is the Bitcoin ETF numbers. Now, we did have a nice impulse. An impulse is when we get these big boner candles, right? So we had a nice impulse. It came out of nowhere. It didn't really affect the market the last 3 to 4 days. And if you look at this, we've had the 26th, the 27th, 28th of March, all had lots of more buying than selling. The 25th had almost no buying to selling ratio. But if we actually go back here to the 25th, 26th, we haven't really seen crazy amounts of volume come into that. Now, that's kind of interesting. Maybe there's more OTC in the markets now. I don't know that for sure. All I can say is that we have to watch these numbers, because maybe they lag, and that's something that we have to keep attention to, right? Like, what happens if today we have minus 300 again? Will that push the price down? It might, but again, we have to look at the chart, and the chart tells us everything we need to know. If we're holding this level at 69 and we retest it and come higher, I did show you that I thought we would kind of range in this range between 67 and 73. Now, if we go break out and go higher, it's likely that we would have something like this happen, where we break out, retest, and then break into it. So that's kind of like the two ways that I could see it going right now. And Bitcoin's in a great spot, right? We look at Bitcoin on the BLX, right? BLX looks great. It looks like it's breaking out here. So I'm not too concerned about that at all. The Bitcoin Liquid Index, this is the one that goes all the way back to the very start. Now, looking at our total market cap, it's also looking quite bullish, and I'm not really too concerned about where it's at right now. I think it's in a great spot. Our total 2 is also in a great spot. We have a lot of money in alts this cycle, right? And I think that's something that we have to know. And also, a big indication of the bull market about to start is Dogecoin pumping. I talked about this. Now, everyone thought like, oh, Dogecoin had to pump first. No, but when meme coins start to go crazy and Bitcoin's gone crazy and went a little little crazier faster because of the ETFs. Also, having people call me, my lawyer called me the other day and he said, yeah, I need $8 million of Bitcoin for one of my clients. So there's people that are going to be buying Bitcoin still, and they're going to continue to buy Bitcoin, knowing that this is the asset class of the asset classes. Bitcoin's in a great spot. I think our market is getting reared up for that actual impulse bullishness, where we send the market cap from 2.5 trillion to 7.5 trillion by the end of the cycle. And maybe we go higher. The RWA thing, I think, is going to take a little bit longer. I think it's going to start this cycle, and next cycle, we're going to get that impulse explosion, like what we saw with Bitcoin, but with real world assets. So if we look at the grand scheme of things, we're in a great position. Bitcoin dominance as well, kind of teetering, sitting there kind of stagnant, not really doing too much. We're waiting for this kind of breakdown. And as it breaks down, I'll show you guys what I talked about last cycle. I talked about when we broke down will be the alt season of alt season. If you guys remember, March 2021, right after the, the whole COVID dump, what happened with alts and Bitcoin is Bitcoin dominance dropped because alts started to pump super hard. And then we started getting that and we kind of went sideways and Bitcoin had its move and alts had their moves. But the point is, that is likely going to happen again this cycle. Let's move on to Ethereum. So Ethereum is in a similar spot, but I'm seeing some bearishness, right? Like there's a potential that this runs underneath the candlesticks in the next few weeks. We did have a Kijun bounce trade, which was a really nice trade. Our cloud is flattening out, which is good. It could turn into a support, or we could use it as a bottom support. But what I'm seeing here is that bending down, that floppy cock type situation here, where it's like, oh, maybe it's going to come down. Now that may not actually happen, and we may get an impulse. But again, halving is about the 17th or 18th, 19th of April. So it's very likely we could come sideways, up, down, retest the top of the cloud and go higher. But we will likely, for a short time at very least, unless we hold above 37, break into the bearishness on the Chiku span and then out. So it could be like a couple weeks where we have a little bit of volatility, which would be fine. There are big things happening in crypto, so we don't really need to worry too much. But Ethereum's in that spot where the volume's kind of coming down a bit. It might be because of all the fragmentation across ecosystems. But remember, if ETF gets approved, and there's things that I've proven on my Twitter this week that it's very likely that they're calling it a commodity, not a security, in their letters. So we could see that ETH definitely could go to that higher high that I'm talking about within the $12,000 to $15,000 range by the end of the cycle. Okay, that's only if an ETF's approved, by the way. Now with BNB, again, it's so strong. I don't know why it's so strong. Probably because it's a cheaper chain, but I'm still targeting that $1,700 level. And you know what? To be really frank with you, to see it get there, I think it's very, very possible. When we were looking at ETH way back in the day when it was 300, I didn't think it would go to 1,000 very easily, and it did. And so, I didn't think EGLD last cycle would go to $600 either, but these are things that definitely happen. So BNB is very strong right now. I wouldn't be fading it right now until it rejected here again, but likely we're going to break through that soon. And it's just going to continue roaring. And remember, that's just above, just a little bit higher as all-time high, and it's not really a support level or a resistance level. So yeah, there was a little bit of resistance at 660, but if we break above that, we're likely going over into 800 range, and maybe not right away. But remember, we're trying to plan ahead for what's going to happen on a macro. When you're here and you're a trader like I am, you're trying to trade for the macro, meaning you're not trying to get rich overnight. You're not trying to put all your money in dog with hat and hope that you're lucky and you get right? Because there's a million other meme coins you could put your money into and lost almost everything or got rugged. So this is the long-term play, trying to take, a few thousand or $10,000 and turn it into hundreds of thousands of dollars without having to stress and look every second of the day. So you can still do the job. If you love your job, do the job you love, play the music you love, do the things that you enjoy without having to be like, oh my God, I need to watch the chart, because that's not healthy, right? So I think there's always balance in everything, and in charts and trading, let the bots do the short-term stuff, because actually they're better than you are at this. And if you're doing long-term, right now, we're still better than the bots on average, right? With a good strategy, without emotion, we're better than them. We have to program them. Eventually they'll get better than us, but right now we're better than them on the macro, because we can see things like psychology and add in all those different factors that maybe it's really hard to explain to a bot how to think like we do, right? So Solana looks like it's ready to do a Solana. Solana. What we're seeing is the Kijun rise a bit. So we could see that, if we're targeting it to come back down, it might only come to 150 now. We do have these 2 levels of support, and it's kind of ranging sideways, and I think it's going to break above 198 again. I think we're going to break above it and hold above it soon. So, that's just based off the users right now on it. So I don't know if you guys saw this, but AGIX, Ocean, and FET are going to make a super alliance AI project where they're going to give 1-to-1 to FET holders, and they're going to do an average out for AGIX and for Ocean. And so that would make a super coin. And I mean, I'm holding all 3 of them, and right now I'm not too sure what I would do yet. So kind of waiting to see and read a little bit more. Some people are saying, oh, you should sell your Ocean and whatever and put everything in a FET. I'm not really agreeing with that perspective right now. I think that it makes more sense to just kind of play all the coins the way we have been and making money with all of them. And then let's kind of adjust as we kind of see fit. Right now, I think AGIX, FET, Ocean, great plays to keep in. Arweave, another one that's great to keep in. We caught that nice down. It's above this level. We could be pushing up to $66 soon. Again, we have so much to look forward to. Ankr rejected this level, may come down 10K and break above, but Ankr's been very bullish since I've been talking about it, and I do see this going back to 20 cents at least this cycle. It probably will go higher. Cloud computing is very important. They've been one of the first in there, as well as ICP. ICP's been on the rip since I talked about it at $4, and it hit $20 and it's at $17 right now. This thing was way up here at 400. There's a lot of room for growth with ICP, and they've been doing all the right things. So keep your eyes on those guys as well. Fantom had a huge run. What I'm expecting for it to do, as we've been talking about since the start of the week, is to come back down, kind of get to equilibrium somewhere in the 88 cents, starting to slowly come down. This will be a great opportunity. Definitely do what I tell you before. Right click on your chart, go right here, click on that and click an alert so that your chart will tell you, oh my God, it hit your price point, and then you can enter. Or another thing that some people like to do, but it's a little bit riskier, is put a limit order at that level, and then you can get filled. One of the ones that's been on an absolute rip is Wilder World. They had a little, I think there was like some type of hack that happened here, got ate up, and it's right back to where it was. It's breaking out of this level, and there's really no resistance other than this little one right here. And I'm looking at it definitely trying to get back to $1.80, $1.50. So there's definitely a nice trade opportunity in Wilder World right now. Another one, my meme of the cycle, OSAKA. So people were like, oh my God, coach, like it's dumping. I was like, have you watched this thing from the start? It can't just go straight up all the time. So it's been using that Kijin a little bit, like going below, going above, and Tenkin is kind of like tight in there. I think it's healthy when something goes up so fast to kind of have a consolidation period first. And that huge boner candle we got yesterday could lead into another move. As you saw, that downtrend got broke out by that big boner. So OSAKA, remember, meme of the cycle, stage 2 is coming up. Big things are coming. I'm excited about it. You should be excited about it. So what we're going to be looking at soon is the RWA projects, like the Credis, the Rios, the IX swaps. We're going to be looking at these types of projects a little bit more because of what happened with BlackRock. But I do think, and I want to give you my perspective on this, that I think very likely that RWAs will do well this cycle, but do way better next cycle because they'll be kind of flushed out. You got to kind of figure out what works with RWAs still. We thought that it would be this cycle. I even thought it would be this cycle, but when I actually think about it and understand how how finance works and how the world works and how long things take in general, I do believe that it's likely that RWAs will start to take off this cycle. People will start to understand them. Normies will start to understand them. But the problem with our space right now is that everything is blockchain, Web3, NFT. Like, we use all these terms. All everyone wants to do is just go on a website and play a game. Go on a website and buy an item. Go on a website and use a GPU software, right? So like, go on a website and chat in ChatGPT, right? No one cares if it's blockchain. No one cares if it's an NFT. No one cares if it's Web3. They just want something that's faster, easier to use. And I think we need to kind of get there with RWAs. They're still kind of clunky and people are kind of figuring out how to actually do it in the best possible way. That doesn't mean that this cycle we're going to see expansion and expansive use cases, but I think this cycle is really the trial for next one. And as we know, next cycle won't be as fruitful as this one because we'll already have a huge market cap, and then BlackRock will be looking at tokenizing real estate and assets and all these other things that now they're trying to figure out and they've been trying to figure out, and it hasn't really worked perfectly yet, but it's coming. You know, you got the proppies, for example, is another one that are up there. So I'm looking at all that. I'm looking at a bunch of private sales right now. It's immense. I'm sure all you feel the same way. It's so much volume across so many chains. I'm sure you feel as overwhelmed as I do, even as a retail guy. It's hard for me to look and see all these projects and make decisions almost at this point, because there's so many actual good ones that are coming out. And then there's a lot that still don't have really great, strong use cases that I'm kind of avoiding, knowing that they're kind of going to do pump and dumps, in my opinion, and I'm trying to avoid that. So looking for real stuff here. So that's your market review for the weekend. Don't forget to follow and share this to other people. I am going to be doing more reviews of projects that I've invested into and why I've invested into them, things that are not launched. As you guys know, I don't like talking about projects that are already launched, because then you don't know how to do the research. You're like, oh my God, it's already launched, I'm gonna get wrecked. I'm trying to get you guys in the IDO phase so you know what to look at and where to actually focus, because it's really, really hard for everyone, including myself at this point. That's what I'm gonna be focused on. If there's anything that you would love me to look at, if there's any projects I've talked about, anything you want, do let me know in the comments. I'll be excited to find out and discuss with you about all the different projects that are out there, and let me know what type of sector you're looking at right now and why. See you guys later.